Yo, welcome to Trippy Commentaries. We're going to dive into Week 12 of the fantasy football season. Josh Gordon is back, but before we get to that, K-Mac, Adrian Peterson, it appears, is not back.
Damn.
In fact, it looks like we're not going to get to use him until next season.
Damn.
We're not 100% sure, but right now it looks like he is done.
Good. Yeah, it doesn't look good.
He's pretty much safe to drop. K-Mac, there's not much to say. Continue to roll with Jarrett McKinnon, and the wide receivers are a complete barren wasteland there in Minnesota.
Yeah, they definitely are. Maybe Kyle Rudolph, his second week back, will step it up a little more. I thought I'd see a little more from him than no catches last week. So look to him maybe to get some red zone looks. But yeah, Jarrett McKinnon's the guy to go with right now in Minnesota for the rest of the season pretty much, because they pretty much like him now finally to be their number one guy. Asiata might still vulture a few touchdowns, but I mean if he can get over 100 yards rushing, that's I mean it's not an even trade-off, but I would take it for right now.
Yeah, I mean the state of the running backs right now, McKinnon's probably a lot of people's running back too. I'm RJ, of course that was FPS Kyle. Thank you guys so much for joining us for our Fantasy Week 12 preview. Hopefully you're doing good in your league, in playoff contention. Props to you guys if you're in first place right now. Let us know in the comments who you have, who's coming through. But we have a lot to get through as far as all these players coming up to the fantasy playoffs. We want to make sure you guys know what to look for. I know it's probably your trade deadline coming up, so there's certain things you want to look for in trading, especially if you want to get the leg up on your competition. Josh Gordon is back. If you have him, that's definitely a good thing.
Oh, yeah.
Cleveland, it's been tough to use their running game. All of a sudden, they're using Crowell as their number one running back. That was kind of random. I still like Terrence West a lot. I don't think it changes too much as far as their running backs are concerned. Josh Gordon is the main guy to use there in Cleveland.
I think it's probably going to open it up for the running backs a little bit, because now the defense needs, because before they really didn't have a true number one. You had a couple guys in there that just aren't number one potential receivers. So really defense is, I'm surprised that Cleveland's been able to run the ball so well this year, because really you can just key in on that and try to stop them there, because they really got no weapons to beat you. But so obviously this is going to help them out a little bit. I imagine Josh Gordon to come in right away this week and kind of pick up where he left off. Guy was almost averaging 120 yards a game last year. Definitely see a lot of them going to him a lot. They got to get their money's worth out of him for this season. So I would roll with him this week and hope for the best.
Yeah, he's got a pretty nice schedule.
Yeah.
And I think he's probably going to get the leg up on these guys as far as they don't really think that he's the number one wide receiver. It's hard for them to completely game plan against Josh Gordon in his first game back.
Yeah.
You're not going to go into the game, all right, we have to stop Josh Gordon. Maybe they will, but I doubt they're going to seriously double cover him the whole game. I mean, this is Atlanta they're playing against, who they've had everybody go off against them, including Kelvin Benjamin. So I think this is definitely a pretty good game for Josh Gordon.
And they could potentially be getting Jordan Cameron back. So see this Cleveland offense now all of a sudden now becoming complete, and that could be dangerous, man.
Yeah, they actually dropped Ben Tate, so they're done with him. It'll be interesting to see where he lands. We'd like to talk about that, but of course, we're recording this Tuesday night. We're really not sure. I know Indianapolis would be a nice fit, but they have a low spot in the waiver claim thing they got going on there, so it doesn't look good. I think someone's going to scoop them up, especially because they know Indianapolis is a contender. They don't want to let them get Ben Tate, which would be a decent replacement considering they have nobody. They just lost Ahmad Bradshaw for the year. That's a tough break for Indianapolis and, of course, fantasy owners who were using Ahmad Bradshaw. He was like a strong running back one for most of the season.
Yeah.
Josh Gordon, definitely the main guy to use there in Cleveland. Is there anybody you'd feel comfortable using, even with his arrival? You'd think that might be able to help some other guys, like a Jordan Cameron, but right now it's hard to feel safe with anybody.
Yeah, it is. Like I said, the receivers that were in place before, none of them really stood out to me as being consistent or being really fantasy worthy. You had Hawkins there a few games. I know that he was kind of back and forth with getting injured there. Gabriel really has kind of shined in the last couple of weeks as being a guy they've been throwing to a lot, but still not a lot of big play potential. He might burn secondary every once in a while and kind of get lucky, but he's not going to really be the guy to catch the ball and make a couple moves and break it like Josh Gordon is. Like I said, Josh Gordon is probably going to get the most targets. If Hoyer's smart, he's going to throw to him very often. They're going to use him a lot because, I mean, he's obviously now the #1 threat on that offense.
It makes Hoyer an interesting quarterback play, too. Maybe not, obviously, for a league, but FanDuel for sure, especially this week against the Falcons.
Yep.
Definitely interesting. We'll have to see how much he costs because that could be a strong play for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you see teams like Cincinnati, when A.J. Green is not on the field, the whole offense struggles. I mean, they got to have him out there. So, I mean, props to Cleveland because they've actually been somewhat successful on offense without their #1 playmaker. Now you throw them into the fold, and perfect timing here for Cleveland fans.
Yeah, they're coming off of a loss. I thought they were going to win last week, have huge momentum.
Yeah.
They didn't look good at all last week. In fact, some people were asking for Manziel.
Yep.
Not good timing ahead of the arrival of Josh Gordon. So this week will be definitely huge. We know Atlanta has a lot to play for. Suddenly, they're in first place in the division. That's crazy, but that shows you how bad the NFC South is.
Yep.
I have a couple players I want to ask you about, K-Mac.
Okay.
When it comes to trading, guys, it's crucial to look ahead and see the teams that the players are going to go against. Right now, there's not that many games left. At least there's enough to where you can look at these players' remaining schedule and make an easy decision on if they're guys that are going to have a hard remaining schedule or some cream puff opponents, especially in the fantasy playoffs. Kenny Britt just went off, Kyle. I know it seems like it came completely out of nowhere. This is a guy we're pretty familiar with. He's been around for a while.
Yep.
A lot of people thought he was a wide receiver 1 candidate. Showed up big in some games, but most of the time has been a complete bust.
Yeah.
He's a buster. But he just had a huge game, and quite frankly, St. Louis has nobody else but him to use. And look at their schedule finishing out the season. It's completely easy except for a tough Week 15 matchup against the Cardinals. You'd have to think that Kenny Britt is going to be completely shut down that week and useless.
Yeah.
Do you trust Kenny Britt? He's going to be on the free agency wire on most people's leagues. And we have a main league. He's actually owned in our league, surprisingly. Someone was holding on to him.
For a while,
I was surprised about that. What do you think? Would you pick up Kenny Britt? Do you trust him with the easy schedule?
No, I don't. I believe, last week he had the yards there because he had the one big play, the big touchdown catch. Do I see Kenny Britt doing that every week? I hardly ever see Kenny Britt doing that, so I don't believe that's going to continue to go forward. Obviously, he's got good matchups, but he's had some good matchups in the past and hasn't really done anything. I mean, obviously, this is the biggest game so far of his season. He hasn't even gotten close to this. I think Week 5, he had a decent game, but nothing to the level he had this past Sunday. So, I don't see Kenny Britt being able to continue. I think it was just a 1-week deal.
Here's the thing. Let me throw this out there. This was Sean Hill's game back. This is the first game with Sean Hill. So you'd think that Kenny Britt and Sean Hill, after the training camp there, probably have some kind of connection, and that's probably where this came from. Does that mean anything to you?
I mean, that obviously could be a difference maker, having Sean Hill. Maybe that's why. But like I said, Kenny Britt really did break. The one big play was kind of on a busted coverage. That's why he had so many yards. He only had 4 receptions. I think he was targeted like 7 times. Yeah. So, I mean, it's something definitely to keep your eye on. If you're really desperate receivers, why not pick him up? I wouldn't advise starting him this week, even though, the Chargers defense has been getting a lot better. They started sucking for a little while. Now they're starting to come back. But maybe hold on to him for this week and just, because a lot of times guys are going to the waivers after a player blows up. This might be a week to get this guy, put him on your bench, and see, hey, if he can have a repeat performance against San Diego, going forward after that, the schedule gets really easy, and then definitely could be, big for you coming in the playoffs.
Another player, this guy has been huge all season, and he has a cake finishing schedule here, Kyle. DeMarco Murray, potential MVP candidate.
Yeah.
Kyle, his Week 16 fantasy Super Bowl matchup would be against the Indianapolis Colts, who just allowed pretty much 200 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns to some guy most people have never heard of for the Patriots, Jonas Gray.
Yeah.
this is crazy. If DeMarco Murray can make it there healthy, he's going to win people fantasy championships. Would you, I mean, I would advise trading heavily for him. A lot of people probably don't realize this, and I know most people would not trade him. But if somehow you can get DeMarco Murray, he's going to be massive. Like I said, Week 16 against the Indianapolis Colts, that's money in the bank.
Yeah, and Romo's getting a little more healthier as he goes on here, and he's going to get more healthier as long as he doesn't get banged up this week. So with Romo in there being healthy, we've seen already this year how much better that makes Murray. Obviously, when Romo was banged up and he wasn't playing right, Murray's numbers went down too. So definitely, I mean, if you've had him all year. He's been destroying it for you all year. He's going to continue to do it. Whoever faces you hates that they have to face you, against face Murray, because every week he's going to do good. I see it happening. I see him pretty much playing out. I mean, we've been talking, kind of dogging him a little bit because we're like, oh, when's the injury going to come? But I mean, God, he's running so hard and so good. It's like, I mean, it's got to really be a freak injury. I think he's just at that point in his career right now, physically, where he's just dominating, and hopefully it keeps it going, man, because it's fun to watch.
Definitely helps him to have this late season bye week too.
Yeah.
A lot of times you don't want to see that, but in his case, he's made it this far. He got a nice little break in there.
How much you think Jerry Jones paid for that?
Oh man, he probably put DeMarco Murray at the nicest spa in the world on earth. It was probably somewhere in the Himalayas, getting his body ready for this conclusion here to an epic 2014 season for the Cowboys. We'll see what happens there. Obviously, the Eagles just fell off in that last game. Now all of a sudden, people are questioning Mark Sanchez. He didn't look as good last week, but it's against a Green Bay Packer opponent, as good as anybody. And speaking of the Packers, this is how we're going to conclude the episode here today, guys. We got to tell you, buy heavily on the Green Bay Packers, another team where it's going to be tough getting their players. Let's face it, if someone has Jordy Nelson, they're not going to want to trade him. If someone has Eddie Lacy, it's probably by far their running back one. But if you can get anybody from the Packers, maybe Randall Cobb can come at a decent price, we just highly recommend it. They play Atlanta at home in Week 14. Yep. Week 15's at Buffalo. It really doesn't scare a high-powered team like the Green Bay Packers.
No, not
at all.
at all.
The Buffalo's
Defensive
got some good things going.
Right.
Yeah, the Bills Mafia over there, they get things done in some cases, but against Green Bay Packers, that's a different beast. Week 16, the Fantasy Super Bowl. We talked about DeMarco Murray's dream matchup against the Indianapolis Colts. How about Aaron Rodgers' dream matchup against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? Oof. That's not fair. Jordy Nelson will go off. Randall Cobb will go off as long as Aaron Rodgers just throws to them, because they'll probably be wide open. So try to buy the Green Bay Packers. Do you think it's possible, K-Mac? I mean, we can tell everybody, dude, definitely go for the Packers players, but they're going to be so hard to get. Everybody loves having these guys.
I think a guy like Randall Cobb's a guy that you can probably, I'm actually myself trying to get a trade right now for Randall Cobb.
Maybe
just because
overpay a little bit.
Overpay a little bit. I'm stacked with running backs. I have a lot of them. So, and the guy that has Randall Cobb's got a lot of good receivers. So, trying to make that play, and yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been trying for the past couple weeks now to buy into the Packers offense, because you don't know which week, every one of them is going to blow up, any given week. Sometimes two players on, you can have Cobb and Nelson both killing it in the same exact week.
Most likely going to happen.
You could pretty much start both of them on your team every week, and they'd be killing it for you. So
that's true.
You really don't see that too often, that combo like that. So
you could go Aaron Rodgers, Eddie Lacy.
The whole Green Bay
plus
team.
Cobb and Jordy Nelson, and hell, just start Devontae Adams, because that kind of guarantees you get something going. But we all know the problem is if for some reason the Packers get shut down, like the Broncos just did to the freaking Rams, then you're screwed. I mean, imagine if you did that with the Broncos last week. You'd be feeling good about yourself, right?
Or bet on them.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
To cover. Yeah.
Broncos. Okay, so fantasy-wise, you got the Broncos players against the Rams. You love it. Starting Peyton, starting Demaryius. Julius Thomas got knocked out early. Emmanuel Sanders knocked out early. Running back C.J. Anderson did play okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but you start Monte Ball, he got knocked out. So it could be a nightmare. Nonetheless, I wouldn't bet on the Green Bay Packers failing. I really like them.
Yeah, they're on a high right now, man. They're going to keep riding. they caught wind at a really good time this season.
No doubt. Definitely props to you guys if you have any one of their players. Aaron Rodgers might be MVP bound, sneaking up to the Andy Lucks, and of course Peyton Manning's of the world. Mike Evans blew up on another level last week. He really looks like he could maybe be some sort of Randy Moss incarnate here. I mean, this is crazy, Kyle. He had one of the biggest games of the season.
Yeah.
Talk about trading for somebody. I think it's too late for him.
Yeah, I think so. Your time to trade for him was a couple weeks ago. At this point, no one wants to get rid of him.
I'm RJ for FPS Kyle. Good luck this week, guys. I know it's a huge week for you. Rest in peace, at least to the 2014 season, for Adrian Peterson. Hopefully the other guy we were just looking at, Arian Foster, comes back nice and healthy this year. We saw Alfred Blue subbing pretty well for him.
Yeah, that guy has got talent there.
Good luck again this week, guys. Stay tuned here, Trippy Commentaries. We got your back. And stay trippy.
Trippy.